All right, let's call this meeting to order at 8:05 p.m. Let's get a roll call, please.
All right, I have CD1.
CD1, Nick Curfew's here.
I'm missing CD2. CD2. All right, CD3.
This is James St. John. I'm here.
And I'm not showing CD4. We'll give him a second. CD5.
Adam Plasky, present.
CD6.
Brian Hanner here.
Thank you, sir. CD7, I'm showing absent. CD8.
Good evening. Logan Hoy here for CD8.
All right, CD9.
Andrew Kimball here.
CD10.
Andrew Pass here.
CD11.
Here.
Right, Treasurer.
Dan John, I'm here.
Secretary Jason Bruce is present. Vice Chair.
Paul Bracco, I'm present.
And the Chair.
Jen Leatherberry, present.
All right, I'm showing 12 of 15. Ma'am, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you much. All right, let's start with the approval of the agenda. Everyone get a chance to review that before the meeting? All right. I will entertain a motion.
This is James St. John, CD3. I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Dan John, I'll second.
All right. Anyone opposed? All right. Hearing none, agenda approved. Now we have to approve minutes from our August SCC meeting as well as minutes from the two meetings we had on September 24th. So we can do those individually or we can do them all together.
This is James St. John. I'd like the motion to approve all the minutes.
Dan John, I'll second that motion.
All right. Anyone opposed? All right. Motion passes. Minutes have been approved. All right. Officer reports. I sent my report earlier today. I did get information back from Chase Oliver's campaign shortly before the meeting, so I put an amendment to my report on the Google Groups discussion list with all the dates for Chase Oliver's visit to Virginia coming up the end of this week. So he'll be in Harrisonburg, Vinton, Newport News, Glen Ellen, and Falls Church on Saturday this week. Definitely recommend you guys find the one closest to you and go and meet him. All right, Mr. Vice Chair, I saw your report. Anything else you need to add?
Nope, it has everything.
All right. Mr. Treasurer, did you send a report for us?
I did, but I think I just sent it to Jason, so I can send that out right now to everyone.
Okay, thank you. All right, got one from Mr. Curfews. Did you have a report for us?
I did not send one, but there's really nothing new to report except for having a meeting coming up this week on Tuesday.
Awesome. All right, any CD chairs have anything to report that did not send a report?
We have our CD9 convention next Sunday.
Awesome. I will be on a cruise ship, so probably unlikely to be able to attend. Alrighty, hearing no other reports, let's move on to committee reports. So, Jacqueline's not here for 50th anniversary. Candidate support, do we have any reports?
Not that I've heard as of late. We haven't had any meetings, so I can speak on that. We haven't had any meetings since 2-3 months ago, so we have to kind of get that back.
Okay. All right. Affiliate support? Any news on any new affiliates?
No, no news to report.
Okay. Thank you. Convention and Planning Committee, Deacon, would you like to report anything?
I can go through the gist of what I have so far. We've been discussing, me and Robbie, because it's pretty much the two-person. I did send a report over to you yesterday. Convention will be March 2nd in James Monroe Highlands in Charlottesville. At this point, we're looking at $2,600. And then also they can add up to, I think, $17 or $18 a person. Request, they want like a total number that wants to be there. We totally can't do that, obviously. So there's a lot of discussion of we just round up and give some extra people just to keep on that level. So we don't, like, for the people that might just show up late, or we have a couple requests. We estimate higher than lower on that. Let's see.
Dean, is that for people above the max amount in attendance?
Correct. We're reaching out to where we want everybody to reach out to. Anybody who has sent speakers, reach out to their speakers. We will reach out to them, not a problem. But we are okay with the speakers that we've been getting for requests. We do got to remember, as a convention, that we have to do business first. Speakers are a good thing, maybe for lunch. We'll get there when we get there. Candidates, we are planning this week to have an email created where we send it to all the FCC file candidates for the convention, basically for anybody that's seeking a nomination. We will also be setting a table fee for candidates and for vendors at $100 table. We were talking about high numbers for slow numbers, me and Robbie, and kind of going through that in a meeting last week. If we go too high, we won't get enough. If we don't want to go too low, but we figure $100 is fair for everything. There's a lot of suggestion between the both of us that delegates and pre-registration, that there's a pre-registration for people that want to attend, also that want to be delegates, so it makes it easier for everybody. Catering, there's been information sent out. We're waiting to hear back. We're hopefully going to hear back something this week on that. Suggestions today: seeking leadership and delegate spots should be done as early as possible to allow the agenda to be written with time to get business and speakers in. Parliamentarian, and this is up to the chair on selection. It's recommended that we do a non-party person to leave bias out of any parliamentary needs. We should not be going after someone that is in the party or seeking leadership positions within the LNC, in our opinion, or at least in that's my personal opinion. And I've discussed with Robbie, and he's kind of on the same thing, even though a few names have been thrown around. I think it's only fair that it's a biased person. We don't want is anything to happen like what happened with the Evil 7 to happen again. So we need to make sure with parliamentary things, that's up to the chair. That is up to which is going to be the chair of the convention, will be the chair of the party. So unless that's delegated to somebody else, that's her decision. I do see a hand raised.
Mr. Bruce, go ahead.
Yeah, just with respect to speakers, do we have a list of potentials or anyone who has confirmed as of yet?
I don't have any confirmations. I was sent two by Paul Bracco. I was sent, Jennifer had sent me one, and I believe one other person has sent me something, me and Robbie, and they're like 4 speakers. So at this point, obviously, after December, I could easily want to do something on my situation, but until that day happens, I don't want to go into that anymore. But I think it would be good for the party to understand, especially when going out and collecting signatures, But other than that, we haven't had any confirmation. But I do say to the people that have sent me or sent in requests for speakers to reach back out to them, because obviously speakers are good. It draws people to the convention.
I think
Do
the
any
issue
of these
may be-
speakers?
Oh, go ahead.
I apologize. I was just a follow up. Do any of these speakers require any sort of fee associated with them?
One does, to my knowledge.
All right, we can sidebar that. Thanks.
I mean, I can tell you this: the speaker that I presented is Keith Knight from the Libertarian Institute. He just requires his room and board, like room and travel, be paid for.
And that would be the only one that I received that's requesting payment or any services.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Other than that, that concludes my report. Any other questions? I guess not. Thank you.
All right. All right. Old business. All right, we got our bylaw amendment. Mr. Vice Chair.
So this is still the same document. I believe that our parliamentary standing is that it was moved at the previous meeting and has now been tabled, or was tabled there. So if Mr. Secretary, is it possible to enable screen sharing? Or if you would rather present the document, that'd be fine too.
Stand by 1 second. Is it up yet?
There it is.
All right, there we go. Over to you, sir.
So, could you scroll down to the next page? I want to show everybody the potentially some changes that have stuff that has changed since the first version of this. So you'll see at the beginning of the page on the left there, the affiliates are recognized by the SCC by majority vote. Oh. Could you go back up one page, please? Or maybe 2 pages. I'm not sure. The two sections. Let's see. Yeah. So now it'll be the on the right side under number 6 at the okay.
Paul, I apologize. My internet is going much slower than you are, sir.
Okay. I can share the document if you'd prefer. But if you could go to the it would be the middle of page 3, I believe. Starting with affiliates are recognized by the SCC by majority vote. So that was a change from the commentary from the last meeting. And the rest of this, some of the vote thresholds have changed. And specifically with the approval process, it has changed to be a vote threshold. So it is no longer automatic approval unless denied. It still requires an approval. However, the SCC is under a time limit. Hopefully that there is some kind of vote. Since this would be a majority vote, it would be permissible to approve an affiliate by e-vote. So that would be an option. So the second section, 432, this is dealing with revoking affiliation. So this is a much higher threshold. It's 2/3 of the entire SEC. Basically, my thinking was if it's 2/3 of the SEC to revoke someone's membership, it's 2/3 of the SEC to revoke an affiliate's membership, effectively. Not exactly the membership in the same way, but recognition. And in addition to that, it can only be revoked for one of three reasons. One is because there's a couple of requirements, that there's an ongoing provision of who's the governing board of the affiliate. Like, you need to tell us, and you need to give us your governing documents. You have 60 days after a convention to do so, but we need to know who's running the affiliate and what rules is that affiliate operating under. And then I believe number 3, if you could scroll to the next page, that is basically follow the bylaws. It's follow the bylaws of the National Party, the Constitution of, I don't think that the National Party bylaws speak to local affiliates with the exception of like maybe some endorsement rules, but which also apply to us. And so it's following the Constitution of the party, this document being the bylaws, and the affiliate's own governing documents. So all of your governing documents, you need to follow them. That's it. Like this is made to who's
Somebody.
Jason?
Jason drop.
Apologies,
So-
I don't know what's going on with my internet.
But in terms of procedure, the requirements are that the 2/3 vote of the entire SEC. That's the same threshold as a member removal, and then the notice, it does also require 30 days notice. So there's a little bit higher of a requirement there, where it can't be just sort of sprung on people. So then I don't think I can share the screen.
Paul, would you like to make a motion and then we can?
My understanding is that this was tabled. The motion was made in the previous meeting, and then this was tabled.
Okay.
So I guess I'm kind of speaking to my motion, if that's
Motion.
all right.
We have a question.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of a point of inquiry there. During the last meeting prior to the tabling, there was basically a discussion that you would have offline discussion with those that had questions and suggestions on this.
Mhm.
Was that successful endeavor?
I did not receive any questions on the email list.
I can speak to that a bit. I read Paul's modifications, and his modifications aligned with what I was hoping for. So we didn't actually need to talk further.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Okay, so
A motion to approve the proposed bylaw amendment as stands.
Dan, John, I'll second.
And I do want to make mention of one other thing, if I may, before we vote on this. So if you could scroll down to the very bottom, I do want to call attention to the proviso. So this is giving everybody 120 days. So it's everybody who exists right now. And I guess the problem right now is who exists, and we can discuss how to handle that. But this whole expulsion stuff, we're going to have our hands tied for 120 days after the meeting, with the exception of violations of bylaws. Not that I want to kick anyone out. I don't think there's anyone I want to kick out. But just want to make everybody aware of that as well.
I'm not sure I understand that.
The proviso.
Yes.
So in the removal section, so this would be 4.3.2, there are 3 causes that are allowed to cause an affiliate to be eligible to have their affiliation revoked. Those are failing to provide the party secretary with the governing board members, like who's the chair, who's the vice chair, etc. A failure to provide the secretary with updated affiliate governing documents when there are changes made. And 3 is a failure to adhere to bylaws of national, constitution of the party, bylaws of the party, and affiliates governing documents.
Okay.
So
You're saying all the affiliates would have 120 days
Yeah.
to get that.
yeah, because normally what it's saying is you have 60 days after your convention, basically, to provide those things. That doesn't, it's not instantaneous and then you're kicked out, but it's at least going to be a 90-day window, because you have to have not done it for 60 days, and then the notice has to go out, and then 30 days have to go by, and then you can have the vote then. But
Okay.
that's what this is saying, is that we aren't going to be revoking anyone instantly because they have not provided their list of positions or their bylaws or whatever within the last 60 days of their convention. Technically true, but in this case, I wanted to give people kind of a grace period to get up to speed.
Okay, that's cool. Dean?
Okay, I put something in the chat, and it's I just asking for I know I'm not SCC right now. That might change after next week, but the idea of an e-vote for revoking or giving, I put it in the chat. An e-vote, that would kind of be dangerous in my opinion if people's emails were hacked, to do an e-vote on something like revoking or approving. Something like
hold on.
or a Zoom or
Revoking.
Okay.
I want to clarify. Revoking is not allowed as e-vote because it's not a
Okay.
majority vote.
Or even approving. I would do approval, or my suggestion would be doing approval or revoking via a Zoom or an in-person meeting, not a e-vote at all, because it can be dangerous. We saw what the 7 did to us. On other things, it's not impossible that people's emails could be hacked. I'm just saying that as a cautionary thing. Other than that, I like what you have to say.
My response would be this would be something like, essentially that's an argument against having e-votes at all, which is a separate topic.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss that right now.
Like that's I don't know that it's something a potential that's specific to this. So maybe
All right. Well, I would like to call a question. unless anyone else would like to ask any questions. Get this voted on. All right, so we'll start with CD1.
CD1 votes yes.
All right, CD2.
Yeah, CD2 votes yes.
I think for Lauren, you're CD3, James.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see if Lawrence logged in yet.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. It's your phone now. I'm sorry.
I'll say yes.
Okay. All right, CD3.
Oh, I think I already did that. Yes.
Okay. CD4 is not here. CD5.
Yes.
All right, CD6.
CD6, yes.
CD7. CD8.
Yes.
CD9.
89, yes.
CD10.
Yes.
CD11.
CD11, yes.
Mr. Treasurer.
Yes.
Mr. Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes.
All right, I believe this definitely passes. So we have a new amendment finally. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, for all your hard work on this.
I hope it helps bring some clarity to our affiliate system.
All right, that is finally off all business. So thank you, everyone. All right, so moving on to new business. So the financial obligation for the convention venue. I have signed the contract, but the SCC still needs to approve the money to use to pay for the convention venue. I don't think I can just write a check for close to $3,000.
No.
I will motion to approve the $2,600 for convention venue.
Andrew pass CD10 second.
Mr. Vice Chair, do you have a question?
No, it
I will
was the amount. That was all.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, anyone want to discuss this? All right, anyone opposed to approving the money for this? All right, hearing none, motion is approved. All right, and last thing on the agenda. I know originally I had talked about wanting to do 3 in-person meetings at some point during the year. So we had the one out in Roanoke, we had one in Newport News. If we wanted to do one in the next couple months, I don't have a whole lot of Saturdays available. But I'm willing to drive up to Northern Virginia somewhere for a meeting if you guys would like to do one. If anyone would like to host. Mr. Bruce?
Yes, just a suggestion, but considering that we're going to be coming up on Christmas by this point, if anyone has any ideas for Christmassy stuff, I would definitely favor that.
I don't know what kinds of things are up in that area.
I'll leave that to LP Nova.
We can watch Die Hard at my house. It's fun.
I would throw out the possibility of using LP headquarters, which is, I think, is in Alexandria. I don't know if they would charge us for that or something.
I don't know if that's Christmassy, but it could be a
Do
cool
we have
experience.
did we have a Saturday we wanted to aim for? Or
Um,
Sunday or Saturday?
so I believe, unless we do the Saturday after Thanksgiving, I don't have any Saturdays in November that I am available.
What about December?
December, I could do probably the 2nd or the 9th.
Just a point of inquiry, but if we were to do the 2nd, then I would propose that we push any November SCC meeting to the 13th around ish, something like that of November. So that way we're not only going a week and a half with doing a meeting before doing another meeting.
I was potentially just going to skip November.
Okay.
I'll be in Colorado that weekend. I could technically do the meeting from out there, but or if you guys would like to have a meeting and our esteemed vice chair can run it, that's fine too.
If it is on the 11th, that is my 1-year wedding anniversary, so I will have to have a proxy.
Okay.
I'll be out the 11th as well. November 11th, that is.
So maybe we just won't have a November SCC meeting.
Do we have any sort of affiliates or congressional districts that are considering any events to be done within the November timeframe? I know there's a lot of fall festivals going on right now.
Well, LP Nova should be having elections. I don't have all the details on that yet. I'm not sure about events outside of that.
I believe that Elpino was talking about the 18th, but there are other folks who are going to be more knowledgeable on that than me.
James?
I think based on those suggestions, and maybe we should just pencil in the 2nd as a tentative and just eschew a November meeting in favor of some of us attending some of the local events as affiliates and congressional districts have them, since we'll be basically just the tail end of November anyway if we're having a 3rd meeting, and that'll clear us out of a holiday schedule for anything for December.
I concur.
Sounds good to me. So should we leave the place to LP Nova, or does anyone want to volunteer a place now?
We can probably accommodate, but I do need to check with my boss before I really confirm that. But we're also out in the sticks a little bit, so somewhere closer to, major errors, maybe better. But we do have the room, at least.
All right. Well, if you guys want to discuss and get back to me within a week or two. Feedbacking on November 18th. Yeah, I'm just not available on the 18th. I have a prior engagement. All right. Well, anything else for the good of the order?
Yes. I don't know if this is the right time or place to address this, but we have a new political candidate in 96th District, which covers portions of Virginia Beach. We would like to support. He has agreed to sign the NAP. And I don't know if that's something we need to discuss with the rest of the party before we move forward with that.
Do they have a name?
Yes, his name is Nicholas Olenek.
So is he looking for our endorsement? Is that?
Well, yes, he would like that. Yes.
Is
Mr.
he
Vice Chair?
running as an independent?
He's running as an independent. It's a three-way race right now between a Republican, a Democratic incumbent, and him as an independent. And it's a dead heat between the three of them.
No.
So I spent this last weekend in Nova at a YAL convention doing campaign training. There with me. So he's also joined YAL and AFP and a few other organizations that we often work with. And he is definitely running as a Liberty candidate. The Republican who's running against him has come out in favor of gun grabs and said, we'll buy back guns and we'll take your guns. And he's an advocate for constitutional carry. He's also advocating for use of recreational marijuana and to use the taxes raised to offset and lower other taxes. And he's also advocating for a number of other issues which are very closely aligned with ours.
Sounds like a great guy.
Well, yes, hence the reason for me bringing this up at the meeting.
Mr. Secretary?
I'm going to actually defer to Dean on this one beforehand because I saw that he had his hand raised. If you would be willing to
sorry.
acknowledge
Dean.
him.
Go ahead, Dean.
My only question is, and this is my only thing, because he said he will not sign the NAP, right? So
No,
my question is, why will he not sign?
He said
He said he
would.
won't.
He has
I heard
signed B.
Okay, I thought I heard he will not sign the NAP. That's why I was like concerned. But if he will sign the NAP, I don't see why there's an issue.
Yeah, if you hadn't signed the NAP, I wouldn't even be considering it. Would never have brought it up without that.
All right, Mr. Bruce.
Yeah, I'm not terribly in favor of the whole idea of we want to replace some taxes with a different tax, but does he have any sort of website or campaign or anything like that where we can go to actually see his platform and things like that? Because I mean, as much as you pump up the guy, which is perfectly fine, I would prefer to see a lot of this stuff in person before we vote to endorse someone who's not actually running as a libertarian.
Of
That
course.
would be my only concern. Yep.
His website address is www.olenik.us.
All right, I just dropped that into the chat. Just let me know if I messed that up at all, please.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I would motion to either table this endorsement to an e-vote if at all possible, or any sort of a special meeting. Over.
Well, we're only a few days out from the election. So if it's tabled, it probably wouldn't matter.
Well, I would second the motion to table because I would also like to investigate him a little bit more before casting a vote. If I had to cast a vote right now, I would vote against it because I haven't had that time.
Okay.
We can set up the e-vote right after the meeting, and then people can vote at their leisure after they look them up.
Great.
Mr. Bruce? Oh,
Apologies, just had to take the hand down.
Okay. Mr. Bracco?
I do believe that our local affiliates, let's see, Article 6, the party, its district, and local committees shall be empowered to nominate, support, endorse, contribute to, or otherwise assist candidates for public office. Such powers may be applied to candidates of other parties. No, they can't be because of national bylaws, or independent candidates, provided they certify in writing that they do not believe for the advocation or advocate the initiation of force as a means of achieving political or social goals. From what we've heard, that requirement has been met, and that the national, state, district, or local Libertarian Party organization does not have a candidate for such office. That is also true. Given that the local committee is, per our Constitution, empowered to endorse or not endorse, and that, to be honest, me sitting here in Northern Virginia, I don't know that I have any bearing, my opinion should have any bearing on whether or not essentially a candidate in LP Hampton Roads area is or is not endorsed, who, other than do they meet the requirements, and as long as the guy has signed the pledge, he does. I personally would rather us not have a vote on this at all and just leave it to Hampton Roads to either endorse or not.
Mr. Bruce?
I appreciate where Paul is coming from this. I respectfully disagree to a certain extent as a of the national reform. It, then
At least for me.
this is
Mr.
So I'm actually, I think I agree with what Jason was trying to say in between the RoboCop voice there, in that this is for the Virginia House of Delegates. So I think it would be appropriate at both levels for it to be, like, if this is somebody we want to endorse, I think it's reasonable that the state party would endorse it because it's a state level election. So we're like town councilor or something.
I think I'm back now, but I agree with James.
Okay. And Mr. St. John?
I was going to say that the local party has already endorsed him pending his signature, which we've just received today, apparently. So we've already endorsed him on the local level. So I believe we've already started handing out his literature and passing it around in certain areas. So if the state wanted to do it it would be the state body doing it on their own to also endorse if they wanted to do so. I wouldn't recommend the state doing it if the local affiliate doesn't doing it. That would look bad. go
I
off.
will say, if we do endorse him, it would give me the ability to have him on the LP national website. Mr. Bruce.
Yeah, assuming that my internet cooperates again. One thing that I would ask for consideration with respect to any e-vote that comes up from between here and now would be, I don't necessarily want this to establish a precedent for voting or to endorse independent candidates. I do still think that this should be something that is, you know, it's something that has to be considered, not just because we don't have a libertarian candidate, but in terms of them actually meeting all of the requirements to satisfy the Libertarian Party platform. From what I see on his website, I don't really see anything that runs contrary to it. But again, I do think that this warrants further scrutiny. So I would again reiterate my motion to table.
Mr. Repass.
I'll be a bit of a Roberts nerd. We tabled the last one because tabling is used for when there are specific questions that need to be addressed before a motion is discussed, which in that case was discussion between other members of the group and a couple committees before it came back up. The motion to consider it a later date would be the appropriate motion here. You would just do it via e-vote instead. Probably nobody cares, but just thought I'd point that out. The effect's probably going to be the same.
Thank you, James. Mr. St. John.
I think we should motion to adjourn right now.
Are you motioning to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Jason Bruce.
All right. Anyone opposed? All right. Meeting is adjourned.
Convention committee appreciates your support for the convention also. Just